Hello and welcome to another me, BoredGamer, and Zin. Say hello, Zin.
Hello, Zin.
Our sort of hot takes from Star Citizen news and what's happening in the Star Citizen community. Should we date these? I don't know. Just we'll talk about Alpha 3.14, I suppose, on the PTU. Zin.
Yes.
Horizon. Both of the names that are different but the same. What do you think? Pretty good? Awesome? What?
Pretty good. Pretty awesome. I like them. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel, if you get my drift.
Yeah, all the little platforms there.
I like the fact that it feels open. It is open. You go to any other landing zone and you feel quite contained by buildings. Even if it's open air, you're still surrounded by tall buildings.
What's the problem I have in my house? I just feel constrained by the walls. I wish I could just live...
I hate you.
Outside my garden. What? I mean, for me, it's the best looking zone they've done, even with the sort of cloud issues, which are the fuzziness of the clouds. Have you noticed the fuzziness?
I've noticed the fuzziness since they added it at points of interest.
Okay, yeah.
So if you were to look at some of my footage from when we did the Idris fight or whatever during Xeno Threat.
Yep.
Like just moving in and out of the clouds or close to the clouds, you could see that sort of mottlediness. I didn't like it then.
Yeah, it's I think reasonably worse now because you're significantly closer to the clouds and because you're sort of looking at the beauty shots and you're moving slower.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a hugely different scale. So obviously we know that they are working on gas cloud tech still. They did very much say, look, it's not finished, but we're pushing out the zone. We're getting it all out, and we're going to continue to improve it. And I think that's sort of fair enough. I don't want to have to wait to get this stuff in game. I'd rather them put it out as long as it doesn't sort of like cause any issues and them say, yeah, we're working on it. We'll make it better. Is there a particular area of Horizon that you like the most?
Around the Space Whale, I quite like the shopping area as well. That's good. Yeah,
the little shopping mall is pretty cool, nice and contained. Reminds me of a shopping centre called Marlins that I remember as a kid. Yeah, I think that the zone looks fantastic. Have you been riding on any of the sort of like cargo haulers that fly around?
No, I haven't. I haven't actually tried to get on one. I saw you land your tourists on one and have a look around.
Yeah, it was. It's cool. It's just a generally cool landing zone.
I was going to say it is pretty cool that you can land on them. I didn't think that you'd be able to land on them. I thought they'd be like you just clip through or explode or something. Or
they push you away. Because if you try and land on any of the major landing pads in the area, the three major ones currently, the sort of ATC or whatever pushes you away. Your auto sort of pilot pushes you away from them. However, you can drop things onto the platforms like tanks and things like that. So people have dropped tanks
onto
the platform from a height, and then obviously it's a bit mad, but you can sort of drive them around-ish. It depends on how the tank lands, but you can do it with ground vehicles and things like that as well, to varying levels of success. The other landing pads around the area, well, I would say landing pads, the other sort of lattices and floating bits that are all around, you can land on those. And there are lots of buildings there. There's lots of little sort of mini gardens and things. And Cloud Imperium are working on interior design for these buildings, for missions, for other purposes as well.
I was going to say it'd be pretty cool if you have like a delivery mission and actually you have to land on one of the other unnamed lattice, like bits of lattice work.
But it will also be cool when you're able to assault them as part of a sort of FPS mission.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sort of looking forward to. But yes, it does make much more sense for them to first put delivery missions into these, because that's the simplest and easiest thing to do. And would mirror what they've got for ArcCorp.
Oh no, a terrorist organisation's taken over Horizon. They're going to crash the lattice work into the planet.
That is exactly the sort of thing that I can imagine.
Yeah.
Especially they were like, oh, Horizon could technically crash if the thrusters stop working. No, it can't. No, it can't. It can't crash. There might be some warning sounds and some sirens and some missions to do stuff. There's no way that thing's crashing. That is pretty static as an object. And we do know that they are planning to make like the gas clouds move around and stuff in the future as well. But I suppose moving on a little bit, Constellation Taurus. Now I know that you may not have been into Star Citizen as long as I have, Zin.
I have not.
So we've had the Constellation as one of the longest sort of ships in game, longest running ships in game. And the Taurus, we were like, why isn't it in game yet? Because it is just a slightly cut down version of the Constellation, and it's got a little bit more cargo room, and it's supposed to have a little like smuggly bay instead of the turret underneath, and sort of. But it's coming to game now, but it's nothing special.
Is it not like a revamped version of the old ones, like with light switches and doors?
Not really. I mean, it's slightly updated, but it needs to be brought up to gold standard, and I think all the Constellations do, and I think they're going to be looking at the struts as well for the cockpits in all of them. But I was hoping for something a bit more.
Yeah, because we were thinking like, oh, maybe it's been delayed because they were working on it, and then they're like, well, actually, we've got all this new stuff for our other ships. We should implement it in this one as well, whilst we're working on it.
I mean,
but apparently no.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I was just looking around going, oh, this is just the Constellation. There are a few little tweaks. It's been tweaked a little bit. Obviously, it's its own variant. It is the cargo focus variant. But I suppose them making it extra special and awesome, they then have to go and do all of the other Constellations at the same time. But it's pretty similar, the interior, like 99% similar.
I just would have thought that having it done for that one would be a good baseline for the others.
Well, maybe they're going to do all of the others at the same time. So all of them, just to give them a bit of an update when they get physicalized components, and do all of the switches and all of the lights and all of the setup for all of them. But I mean, to be honest, I looked around and went, oh, it's just like a normal Constellation. And I didn't really fiddle around with it much more than that.
Well, you're bad.
I am bad, but I don't know. I was expecting more of a wow factor with it. I've been spoilt with things like the Mercury Star, I think. We haven't done much combat stuff yet in 3.14.
No, barely. I don't think I spent about 10 minutes away from Horizon, and that was just to take like space shots of Horizon. That was it. So, no, I've not done anything else, really.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to see at Horizon, and it's like, I'm going to get a lot of that footage, because it's pretty, to be honest.
Yeah.
But combat-wise, there's ridiculously huge overhaul, and each of the PTU patches that we will see, at least up until the live release for the 3.14, all of those patches should be quite major balance changes, revamps, tweaks, and bug fixes, because they have just gone, look, we're missiles reworked, there's missile operator mode, bam, missiles are different. Power, well, we're now having capacitors, we're changing all the weapons, we're changing shields, we're changing how you do power allocation. There's just a ridiculous amount of changes, and assuming this all sticks and holds, now would be a good time to learn the meta for the game, learn how to fly, learn combat, because it will put you in a good stead for the rest of the game, probably forever, or at least those skills should be a lot more transferable, just because there's been so many big changes. Have you looked at any of the changes at all, Zin, and do you think they're going to be cool, or do you think it's too early to tell? Or
I think it's too early for me to tell.
Yeah.
I wasn't massive on combat before anyway. I'm a bit of a point and shoot and let fate take care of the rest.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll do some Vandal Swarm and Pirate Swarm.
But yeah, that'll be good.
See what you feel, think of the sort of new combat and how it works, because it is different, especially in fighters. I mean, it's very, very different in fighters with the missiles being in missile operator mode.
I mean, honestly, I probably didn't have a full comprehension of the combat before anyway.
Okay. Well, it's good to see if you enjoy it. So we'll do that later this week, mess around with that and get a bit more meta sort of with our knowledge. But there's going to be a huge amount of changes throughout the PTU anyway with this stuff, and ship tuning and lots of stuff. Everything's changed. Everything's changed with ship combat, and I think, hopefully, this will put the game in significantly better stead for PvE and PvP ship combat. However, it is going to be hugely dependent on whether desync issues are fixed, because desync with the game is occasionally super bad, and a lot of PvPers that I've been talking to, especially people like Moist Noodle, who are going to be interviewing later this week, he is very upset with desync basically getting killed by invisible ships because they're not near him in his screen. And when he does PvP, it's like, I want to do PvP because I want a nice, visceral, interesting, emergent gameplay feel. I don't want to be killed or kill someone when they can't see me and they can't react or I can't react.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the other thing. I would assume it's not like these people know that you can't see them. They're unaware that you're unable to see them. So they're just going to carry on fighting as normal.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, people don't know how to exploit the "oh, I'm invisible."
Yeah, well, it's if it's a desync issue. I mean, short of maybe lag switching, that might do it.
Anyway, we had lots of talk about this in lag switching many years ago in Arena Commander. People would lag switch, or at least that's what it looked like. It could have just been bad network code. It's too hard to tell.
Bad network code in Star Citizen?
Well,
no.
There is going to be a lot of big overhaul with this stuff, and you could argue, 8 or 9 years into the project, maybe they should have their network code sorted. They don't. They're sorting out the server meshing, which is probably one of the largest and most important tasks of the game, and that's one of the reasons that Star Citizen is still very much alpha, and not as much progress has been made as maybe we would have liked. It's certainly not an MMO yet, but they are working on that stuff. Hopefully it will be genuinely great. Hopefully in the shorter term, we are able to get less desync in the 3.14 patch when it goes live. And talking about that, release date for the patch. Obviously, the live target for the patch was a couple of weeks ago at the end of June. And we do know that they sort of make it live when it's ready, but they got it into first wave PTU now, and it will go to wider waves before going to open PTU and then live. When do you think, Sin? When do you think it's going to go to open PTU and then live?
So it came to first wave on Friday, wasn't it? Thursday evening, Friday morning?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Sounds about right.
I mean, it can spend as little as a couple of days in the first wave.
Yes.
Or any wave.
But it can spend as much as 2.5 weeks, I think I've seen it.
And also 3.14 is supposed to be Q2.
So yeah, it should have released.
So it's supposed to have come out basically before July. So we have just come into Q3.
Yep.
I don't know, I honestly don't know what they still need to work on.
It's just the balance for combat for the most part, and general bug fixing. So there's a variety of bug fixes that they'll want to get out, and then the tuning for ships, the weapon balance, and the shield and power balance stuff. Capacitors are a huge balance change. Now this is the issue. Are they going to roll out something that's good enough or okay? If, however, they are going to try and get balance in a very good place and all of these mechanics into a very good state, or at least a good state, they might be pushing into August with a live build, because there's so much to balance and rebalance for weapons, ship tuning, and capacitors. It's a ridiculous amount of stuff. Well,
they almost always have sub patches, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have 3.14.1 and 3.14.2. I would like to see it go to the next wave of PTU within a couple of days. And then hopefully live a week later.
Okay, so we're talking about next week, end of next week, sort of for a live build, hopefully.
I kind of feel like because they've missed their deadline, they kind of need to go a bit, it will sort it out a little bit later.
Yeah, maybe. But they also don't want to release a major patch when it is something fundamentally broken in balance.
See, I don't. I don't. If it's just a balancing issue, not so much of a problem. If it's an actual bug, then yes.
So what if that balancing issue is that a weapon is just able to annihilate anything in 2 shots?
They should do what Apex does and just remove the weapon.
Okay.
Temporarily.
No. Yeah. Okay, and I suppose that's an option. I suppose if something is this is terrible, I suppose they can just remove it. So one of the other things that people may or may not know is that in the PT at the moment, all items, all components are basically the same from their class. So they haven't got the variance of items and their stats. So that's going to take a long time to balance as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing that you can only balance after testing, and not just closed door testing or PTU testing, but live testing.
Yeah. So I was previous as well. I was quite confident that we were going to have a mid-July launch for live. But seeing the amount of stuff that they need to get balanced, and combat and power and all this sort of stuff, it makes me go, okay, that this could take a while. There's some other stuff happening this week though. We've got roadmap updates with the downstream teams and the Q3 updates, so we should see in a lot more detail what's planned for 3.15, so the next major patch at the end
we are in Q3.
The end of Q3. So yeah, not 3.14, which is technically a Q3 patch now. But no, 3.15. We should see a lot more stuff on that, and we should actually start to see the roadmap grow out a little bit more. I'm hoping that we see the Polaris back on for the progress tracker as well. It'd be nice to see that actually reappear, even if it's quite far out. We also have a patch watch. Ship behavior and thrusters is being talked about for 3.14. So this is another quite expansive change to ship behavior and ship tuning, which is going to need to be balanced really before live. But as Sin said, some of this stuff, as long as it's in a okay state, they can then push into a 3.14.1 patch.
The other thing they can do is, as long as they address it, as long as they say, we know this is an issue, don't expect this to be part of the finished product, we need you to test it. Maybe even give for a temporary time period, like your ships can be respawned like that or something like that, just to get the testing done.
What I would say, Zin, is that is basically a prefix for Star Citizen in all forms at the moment. Quite genuinely. Obviously very much an alpha. But yes, I see what you mean. That's actually, as long as CIG communicate pretty well, I think they'll be able to soften the blow and make most people not disappointed. Or it's a tricky one. I think some people are going to be upset, some people aren't. But yeah, the better that CIG communicate this stuff, the better. Something else I did want to talk about actually is the RSI subscriber rewards for this month.
The flare.
So, the flare, indeed. So the flare this month is for a couple of skins, a couple of paint jobs for the 100i.
No, it's the 100 series.
Is it the one? Okay, yeah, fair point.
So it's this, the 100i, the 125A, and the 135C.
That's correct.
So yeah, it will go on any of those ships.
So there's what colours are they actually? Let's bring this up on my screen.
So there's a sand wave paint, which is supposed to be like a kind of a camo-y. I mean, it's not camouflage, but it's meant to it's a low tone, not to draw attention to your ship sort of thing.
Okay, almost slightly pink.
I mean, you need to calibrate your monitor. That is not slightly pink.
Well, it's sort of like slightly browny, goldy pink.
It's a warm brown, yeah.
Like a sunrise.
Like a sand. Like a sandy colour.
Yeah. Like a pinky sand. Yeah.
Pink.
What? So yeah, I can see that being, if you were using it over Daymar on the sunrise, it'd be hard to spot your ship maybe, except for the red accents.
Well, even then, they'd blend in. They wouldn't be big enough to really notice it by eye.
So the other one, the Melrose paint. What?
Mm-hmm.
It's teal and magenta.
Pink. No, teal and pink.
Teal and pink. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's my monitor that needs calibrating or my eyes.
A little bit of A, a little bit of B.
Yeah. So the reason people were a bit annoyed about this, some people were a bit annoyed about this, is because this is one of the first flares that we've had that not everyone can use. Because you need that ship to be able to put the skins on, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you did put it on your ship, or whatever, you did have the 100 series, I'm not too into them, to be honest. They're a bit weird. I mean, maybe that's just me. Some people, I'm sure, that have got 100 series ships, they're like, woo, yeah. But I mean, armor, helmets, weapons, that sort of stuff that everyone can use, just use. Great. This is potentially something someone will never use. And a lot of people subscribe, at least in part, for the in-game flare rewards. But you sent me a little thing, didn't you?
Yeah, so somebody had... I read through some of the comments, well, quite a lot of the comments, actually, that people had put on this subscriber promotion link. And somebody said, people need to be reminded that subscribing is a way to support all the videos we get and get some more insights and pictures of what's being worked on. Flares are just a little bonus. If you're subscribing for flares only, you are doing it wrong. Anyway, remember you can buy these ships in-game so anyone can have them.
So, but in this situation, it's not something that everyone might want, though. And I think some people in part, they do at least partly subscribe for the rewards.
So, yeah, I was going to say, I kind of agree with this statement.
Mm-hmm.
I think saying if you're subscribing for flares only, you're doing it wrong is a little bit harsh, because if somebody wants to subscribe just for the flares, that's their choice.
Well, I'd agree with him financially, though, because you can just buy the flares cheaper, even if it's just from, the grey market or whatever. If you were just getting the flares, you might as well just buy them.
Yeah. But I kind of, this is how I see it, is that like not all the, like to me anyway, not all the flares are going to be relevant to everyone.
Yeah, but previously everyone could just use them without needing something else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But for example, the Wow Blast guns, yeah?
Oh, the Nerf Wow Blast, best.
Right,
flare.
yeah, they're pretty cool, they're pretty quirky. However, they're fucking useless.
Whoa, what do you mean? We pull them out?
They have no use whatsoever.
Mate, they panic people sometimes when you put them out on a train. They're like, how's this guy got a gun? And then a Nerf dart hits them in the head.
I'm not saying that they're yeah? They're pretty cool. They're pretty awesome to bring out and stuff, but you can't go into a live fire situation and use that gun.
I'd just like to say that Zin has sworn more in this little podcast on my channel than I have in several months on the channel.
Sorry.
It's impressive.
You can bleep it. It's fine.
We know you can bleep it. It'll be fine.
But yes. So my point is that, like, you can't use all of the flares all of the time.
That is true. I do agree with that. Like, what armor are you wearing? I'm wearing 7 different sets. Good job. Good job.
I'm wearing one piece from each different set that I own.
God. Yeah, the Harlequin set. And I'm flying around in my my Aurora, but I've got the paint from the 100 Eye on it. How? I don't know. Okay, so some other stuff, I suppose. Exclusive videos. Me and Zin will be trying to put out some exclusive videos. These might be outtakes from a lot of footage. They might be us playing Arena Commander, doing some gameplay, messing around, outtakes from interviews, things like that. So we just put out outtakes from the 2 CIG developers, ex-CIG developers that we would talk to.
Well, you say outtakes. It's a lot of the stuff that they just were talking about that I kind of just couldn't put in the thing, otherwise it would have been like an hour long.
Yeah, it's half an hour of extras?
About that, yeah.
We'll get things like that up on the channel, but we'll also put some polls up and stuff to help influence where the channel goes for content, and get some videos that are more tailored for what people want. And thank you very much for everyone that supports the channel in the sort of going the extra mile by clicking on the join button underneath my YouTube videos, or being a Patreon, or donating, or whatever. Thank you very much. Genuinely, it is fantastic. As I said earlier, we will be interviewing Moist Noodle later this week, and it's not just going to be because he's a Star Citizen streamer and PvP player. I get on really well with the chap. I think he's a great guy. I think that he has been accused of being a griefer before. He's been accused of various things before. So I want to talk to him, not just about PvP and meta and some of the bits that are happening in 3.14, but sort of like some controversies, some PvP sort of mechanics, stuff that he's gone through and his point of view on some of these subjects, because they might be very different to some people. And then I want to talk to some people that are more focused on PvE in the future and see certain players as, or certain pirate players as griefers or whatever. I want to get some more potentially controversial opinions or different points of view about Star Citizen, because I think people like to talk about that sort of thing a bit, and we'll do it in a nice civil way, and everyone that watches it will enjoy and not put mean comments in. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Zin?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're pretty good. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate all the love and the kind words about my father. That's very much appreciated. People that don't know, my dad is in hospital at the moment and should be coming home soon, and we're looking after him. It's been a bit of hell here, but I do appreciate all the kind words. Thank you very much for all your love and support. And I hope to see you guys in the verse. Mwah.
Say goodbye, Zin. Goodbye, Zin.
Wow. Hey, I heard you like VPNs. How about NordVPN then? It's got things like security and features, and we all know chicks dig VPNs. Oh my god, is that Nord? Well, yes. Yes, it is. Wink. Check out the links below to get discounts, or go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Maybe it will align your chakras or something. Actually, let's read some testimonials. Ever since I got NordVPN, my life is good. I wish I'd got NordVPN sooner. I didn't get NordVPN and now I've got no hands. I'm sorry that I recorded this as an ads in. I apologise to my editor. I said I wouldn't go too wacky. That's not what's happened here. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for July it's for a Constellation Taurus with lifetime insurance and a Star Citizen game package. All you need to play! This long overdue, more cargo-focused version of the Constellation is going to be flyable in July. It's basically a new ship. Woo! woo, sort of, to be in for a chance of winning that. Comment on any of my videos made during July, and each video gives you another chance to win, but only one comment is counted per video. More details down below. Please also consider supporting the channel further via the YouTube join button, or via Patreon, or donation, or whatever. It all helps us make Star Citizen content. Great Star Citizen content, hopefully, or at least some Star Citizen content. Also, you should bother the bell and like and subscribe and all that sort of jazz as well. Thanks for watching.